Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Josh. Welcome to Joshin-Strike. My first chance at a podcast ever. And, well, I have no idea how this is going to work, but we've got Flamboyant here, my first guest. Not sure if that's fortunate or unfortunate. What do you think, Flam?
I'm very well versed in the podcasting game, as some would say. If you remember the old Snowball podcast that we used to do. So at least you're in safe hands, Josh. At least you're in safe hands.
How safe? Like how safe? Like, you know, I want to have sponsors by the end of this, Flam, okay? You tell me that my non-existent sponsors, like, go on.
I can give you like a 20% chance of sponsors after this.
Of sponsors?
Nothing big.
That's good, because I have no sponsors to begin with. So it's a 20% chance is better than none.
Better than nothing. We'll give you some farmable clips and you'll be all right, Josh. You'll be all right.
Yep. Anyway, so if you guys don't know, I'll let Flam introduce himself. Flam, what are you most famous for, okay?
I'm most famous for doing shoeies at DreamHack Melbourne. I'm also a commentator on the side for Counter-Strike, as well as being a football coach for American football in Australia. Very, very rare feat. But yeah, I do a little bit all and around. And apparently, according to some, I'm going to be the next to take up your mantle, seeing that you've retired. So I think I got my work cut out for me in the future, but yeah.
I am now unretiring, just in case you're wondering. Okay, that mantle's back on my shoulders. Okay. But anyways, okay. So you do American football, okay? So who do you think's the better quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
Tom Brady. You're an idiot if you think it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, yeah, you're correct. I'm a Vikings fan, so your opinion's completely correct until Aaron Rodgers joins the Vikings, and then your opinion's null and void. But yeah, you know, so what's the key component of American football in general for you, in particular, like in Australia?
Well, it's in a bit of a weird spot at the current moment for American football. Like, you've got some states who are excelling at the moment. You've got some states who are falling behind a fair bit. You've got some states who haven't even gotten a state program sort of set up yet at the moment. And, you know, we're seeing states like Perth and Tasmania sort of growing their programs and growing their ecosystems a lot more, and it's good to see. But as you know, we've seen more development put on towards those states. We've seen states like Victoria, like South Australia, sort of show a little bit more of decline in terms of the player base, in terms of people who are actively wanting to go out and play American football. But the hope is that with flag football coming up, that we'll be able to at least have, you know, a bit more of a consistent sort of presence around people in American football, and for flag football in particular, seeing that it is an Olympic sport now, hopefully Australia can put on a good showing, because we're going up to Finland in about 3 months to try and fight for a place at the Olympics. So yeah, we got to pray and see.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So CS2 casting in particular, when did you start CS2 casting? Because I do remember talking to you a long time ago before COVID about getting some coverage going, because no one was casting it, basically, with the delay coming on.
So how I started casting was my ex-girlfriend broke up with me, and I got really drunk. And then I started looking at the HLTV forums, and there was someone looking for commentators. And so I sent them a message, drunk as shit out of my mind, and then got a DM back the day after saying, hey, if you're free on a Monday morning at 2 a.m, come cast for us. And I was like, sounds good to me.
Which organization was it?
ECL. So if you go far enough on my Twitter, you'll see a lot of my work with ECL. That's where a lot of sort of the articles that I've written were with. They've had to take a bit of an extended break, because hopefully Bruno can get better soon. He heard he was in hospital. Shout out Bruno, shout out Heron. But yeah, those two essentially took a leap of faith on me, and you know, I think it worked out for them. And then you know, we parted ways just before. Well, we parted ways just before what should have been the start of their season that was supposed to be going on now, but it got delayed. So I'm still excited to see what SCL does, but as of sort of now, I don't have any involvement in that at all. But yeah, started picking up ESEA games, started doing ANZ main. I did an ANZ champs game with you and Sir Boris or Luke, and I've sort of just been in and around and hanging around, being the little fucking mosquito I'm in Australia.
Well, what's SEL? I have no idea what SEL is. Like, what's it stand for?
Spray Community League. It was essentially a league for face at level 10s who weren't good enough to be on teams to come through, and then it started growing really quickly. And we were getting teams like VP Prodigy, Spirit Academy. We were getting the first look at Art Frost. We were getting the first look at Result. We were getting the first look at essentially the whole Aora roster.
Yeah.
We were getting, players like Mezzy. We were getting players like Spinks when he was on. Like before he joined Vitality, we were getting looks at that old GG Howe roster, the one that had what's his name, Metzel on it, Blue Phoenix, those types of guys. We were getting like first crack at those guys and giving them 300 viewer streams to be able to encourage them to go find other teams, and it sort of worked out pretty well. And we still had like very interesting players, very interesting teams. We had Entropic and their Youth Academy project, which was a heap of 14-year-olds coming through, and so the level was like quite high for what it was, for the prize pools that it was. But it was also pretty good to be able to get a few HLTV games under your belt before you start solo riding and just having to worry about doing it all yourself. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Did you have Gambit youngsters come through, or was that a bit before your time? With the Shearer roster.
Youngsters? No, SCL wasn't a thing when Gambit youngsters were around. I think Gambit youngsters had just become the Gambit roster when SCL started.
Oh, so it was like SCL, was it a precursor to the We Play Academy League, or was it just when the We Play Academy League went away, SCL became the new thing?
It was for most teams. It was sort of a Pracc league to be able to prep themselves for officials. It essentially became an LPL in Europe and stuff like that, where players would be saying what division they were in SCL, if they were masters, if they were challengers, if they were intermediates, if they were newbies and stuff like that. Like it was really surreal to just see that a project that I'd only gotten involved with because I was drunk sort of becoming a mainstay in Europe. And it was pretty fun to see. It was pretty fun to be a part of. I made a lot of good mates through that all. I made a lot of good enemies through it all.
Who are your enemies? Nah, just kidding.
Let me shout him out.
No. Stop. Okay, that was a dud question. Okay, that was a question. That's a no play question. No, actually, so overall with me casting in particular, mine was like a dare from two mates. Like they were like, dude, you should do some actual casting, because I was casting like party astronaut demos and stuff like that. But so SCL being a Pracc league and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
What was your first real crack at like something outside SCL, like into your tier 1 or tier 2? Like what was the biggest game you've casted?
The biggest game I've casted?
Yeah. In your career?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I've actually got to think about this one now, because I was able to cast Donk v so the Team Spirit Academy roster versus the VP Prodigy roster is probably the biggest game that I've casted, because like on those teams it was like Art Frost, Donk,
Zontix,
Result, Deco, and like essentially the entire roster of Aora, and then half of the roster of the current Team Spirit. I actually think NATO Safix was in a game that I casted once when he was still playing as a team, and he was IGLing for a team. I did an interview with him, which was quite nice.
Oh, yeah, he was quite a super sub for a while. He just goes to any team, slots into it fine. It's like he doesn't like, he can just, he's just such a flexible player.
Yeah, he's so smart. He's just he's a great bloke as well. I think the biggest game at like a tier 1 level would probably have to be like the Rooster KZG game I casted like a few months ago, as in like two teams that have notably come off LAN, appearances, teams who were looking on the up, teams who were looking to be contenders and challenging in their own sort of right. Rooster challenging Flyquest, KZG challenging Mindfreak, that type of thing. It'd probably have to be one of those 2 games. But like, I think I've done 2, 3 ANZ Champs games, and then I've done an ECL Asia game.
Yep.
So it's probably one of them. I don't know, maybe a Bris Vegas Grand Final or something. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, just sort of, for some of our viewers, especially people watching on YouTube. So Flam did mention LPL. LPL is like kind of a community-based league in Australia. So obviously SCL is basically like that. And also Bris Vegas is one of our local lands as well, which is run by Defrag and Mav. And he's like kind of the biggest grassroots player in Australia as well.
The only one. There's about 3 now, but yeah.
The Bris Vegas series, be like the rival to the Blast or something like that at this stage.
Yeah.
Also, I was going to talk about Ro F in particular. So Ro F is a bit legendary in Australia. I'm not sure if it's legendary overseas yet. So how did that come to be?
I got drunk.
I'm starting to think a lot of these stories start off with you becoming drunk. Okay, continue.
A very strong theme in between a lot of the stories that I have. It was me, Happy, or Will, and 2BS or Luther. And we all got really drunk at a DreamHack Melbourne. And it was complexity via static. There were like 30 people in the stands. And the 3 of us just went, we're going to act like dickheads and cheer like complexity are playing in the grand final of the major. And so we did. And it was quite funny because ESL broadcast staff had moved one of the crowd mics to be right in front of us because there was 3 of us in an arena of like 35, 40 people. And, being able to heckle Jordan and Pilly, who was casting, being able to pop off and just slowly gathering a group of people was like, we started with 3 people in map 1, and by the end of map 3, we had like, I think it was 40 or something, people who just sat near us and started chanting like idiots. And so that sort of started there. And then we went to IEM Sydney. We threw headbands at Wanda because he took JL's headband off. And then at the most recent DreamHack, big ups to Ben Green because he's gone out. Ben Green, Nick Lynch, both of them have gone out and made RoF merch and given us pins and given us shirts and stuff like that, given us bags and stuff. So, to be fair, it's grown out of proportion from what it should have been, but it's still a bit of fun. We're still getting drunk. We're still being rowdy. It's what we're sort of there to do. We're just having fun with it. Yeah.
Yep. Is there any reason why Ro F was chosen? Like, could it be Ro H, Ro G, or like was it just because you guys were just sitting in the center and that's it? Just came to be basically. We
were sat in Ro F. And so what me, Luther, and Will would do is text people, come Ro F. And people would be like, where the fuck is Ro F? And it's like, come Ro F, you'll find us. You'll see us.
You know it when you see it.
Yeah, you'll see all 3 of us standing up and chanting USA when all 3 of us are Australian. And then what? Yeah. It just sort of became Ro F because it's where we were sitting. And then people tried to take our seats and stuff during this last DreamHack, and it was very quickly decided that no, you're sitting somewhere else.
Yeah. Did any of the complexity or static players, or even staff, talk to you after that? After the initial one? What did they say?
Yeah. So I'd gotten kicked out by security for being too rowdy after that static complexity game.
Yep.
And they had taken me out for about a half hour or so. And then I said to them, I've done nothing wrong. Go look at the security footage. And I assumed they did because they let me back in.
Yeah.
But for day 3, I had a security guard pretty much tailing me anytime I left the arena, which was quite funny. So we had that happen. And then
no, I was talking about the players or the team managers that feel like that. Yeah, not the staff, okay? Not your security detail to look after their brand risk. I mean,
well, we had Darth Mike, who was the host for that event. put out a tweet like, shout out to the 3 really drunk Australians for just being rowdy. And we were all like, Mike, if you don't get your ass down to row F. We sent back a group photo of like 8 of us. But Mike, if you don't get your ass back down to row F. We had we had Nick and Ben, sort of 2 guys who were project leading DreamHack, reach out and say you guys were fucking funny. We appreciated that. And then we had people sort of saying, are you going to IEM Sydney? Are you going to IEM Sydney? Just to make sure that we were going to be there and be rowdy as always, and we were. And so we had a little bit of fame pop up during the the first DreamHack Melbourne we were at, and then IEM Sydney we had Dex, David Powell, come sit with us for a map, and he put out the infamous tweet on ESL's global page, which is Row F a Legend or something like that. And so it sort of just took off internationally. There were people like, what the fuck is a Row F? And where the bloke's getting drunk at the back. Yeah,
if you guys don't know, Dex is the text guy on ESL, so that's where you come from.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's an absolute gun when it comes to juggling as well. He
juggles
freakishly. He's freakishly good at juggling. Like, I don't know how he does it.
Like, how much balls can he do at once? Like 6 or 7 or more?
I've seen him do like 9, and I'm like,
holy shit!
Like, get this boy in the circus, like.
Yeah, pretty much. We can do 9.
Freakishly type shit.
Now I've got a really important matter to discuss with Row F. It's my kind of bone to pick. Okay, so during the ESL Challenger Melbourne semi-finals, Row F cheered for Rebels. Okay, and Rebels lost to Aurora, and I said Aurora would win, and it got called a traitor. Then Row F tipped Aurora to beat MIBR, and they lost. Do you think Row F are bad at tipping CS matches?
So
you guys
quite funny. I had all of Row F booing me because I was going for Aurora in that Aurora Rebels match.
Yeah, same.
Which is why I got the jersey from Aurora's team owner. That's why I gave you a jersey, because every time Aurora would win a round, I'd stand up and be like, let's fucking go. And, the usual stuff. We're not necessarily bad at tipping. We just pick the team we want to see win, not who we think will win. Because let's be honest, Insani during that event was an absolute headshot machine. It reminds me of, Prime Scream back in his day. He looked like he couldn't miss a target. Resalt was having an absolute tournament of his life, and we all knew Insani was playing 10 times better than Resalt was. And so a lot of us were like, yeah, MIBR's going to win, but we want to see Aurora win.
Actually, I was going to say, there was an interaction between Aurora's team owner and Row F. Like, how did that go down in the end? Because obviously it was like, at the start, it was a bit of a shouting match, and then you guys were all drinking together.
Yeah. We all started drinking together, and that's when it wasn't really a shouting match. It was just us just heckling each other and then going, we're all here for a bit of fun. Let's fucking, cut this shit out.
And you got drunk?
What, Aora's... Oh, yeah. That's... Yeah. Aora's team owner then, started handing out skins, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? We love him to bits, but... we still have no idea why the hell he did it. And then
the dude loves his game, man. How passionate was he cheering at the arena?
He was a lone wolf army, and he was somehow being able to challenge the rest of the crowd. And we're like, this is incredible. This is Row F versus one Russian dude. This is a matchup for the ages. But yeah, it was always good fun. It was always going to be a bit of fun. We weren't, genuinely going after him, and he wasn't genuinely going after us.
Oh,
so, yeah.
What about a chatting match? It was all fans, having a bit of fun and whatnot. Overall with casting in particular, where do you think your casting's going to take you into the future? Any big targets or anything like that, or is just go as the river flows basically?
You probably have the same vision of me of the current scene where, you've got your top 6 or your elite 6, Jordan, Pilly, Mac, Jim Nesso, Conky, Komodo. The goal is to crack that, and to displace one of them. Where do I think it's going to take me? I genuinely have no idea. I'm just here for the ride. I've just strapped onto the side of the car and I've gone, let's see if I can get anywhere. But I do have some special things popping up in the works in the future over the next few months. So I'll be quite excited to see where they take me and the opportunities that they lead me. Do I leak?
No.
Don't leak. This is me. This is just me. It's just me. I'm planning to expand into 2 or 3 different games in the future instead of just sticking to Counter-Strike. But hopefully I'll be able to keep sort of grinding and chipping away at the eventual goal of cracking the top 6 and displacing Conky because he spends too much time on Twitter. No, I'm kidding, Mitch. I love you. Mitch, I love you. But the goal is to crack that top 6, that elite 6, and be someone or be something.
I'm not going to leak how much time I spent on Twitter at all now, okay? I'm not going to leak that at all. But
I've had one post in 2 weeks and I feel absolutely great about myself. Like, I don't know why.
All my things is if I see someone like leave something up to just joke about, just crack that joke. That's pretty much it.
To be fair, like, I do love watching the Conky rock climbing videos. They just tickle my brain in a certain way that I'm just like, ooh. I just turned monkey. Like, I just turned monkey.
Turned conky. That's what someone said. Not monkey, conky. That's what it is.
I turned monkey.
Oh man! Every time I see like Conky's rock climbing tweets, it reminds me of fucking Crap Games, the game on Steam. Even though you know you're rock climbing on that, it's just the scenery just reminds me of that every single time. Like,
I feel like that's disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
That's disrespectful to Conky. Conky's got more form than the Crab Game guys. Like, surely.
No, not the series. Not the series. They're talking about the game itself.
Yeah, sorry. I currently have people walking around my house at the moment, so I'm just going to intermittently mute my mic until they shush. Give us half a second.
Yeah. Oh, we'll just quick break. I'm going to say, I was talking about Crab Game. If you guys don't know, Crab Game's a game on Steam. Okay, it's just the background of like Conky's rock climbing tweets looks like the background of that game of a lot of the arenas I play. So I'm just like reminded of that every single time. But yeah, wait for Flan to get back. And what we're going to do next is we're going to get into some of the news that's popped up recently as well. When Flan's coming back.
Alrighty, I'm back.
Anything else you want to say to your fans before we hop on to the next part where we're going to talk about news and our opinions on it?
Thank you to everyone who said rest in peace, Spice. It's greatly appreciated. That little guy had a 100% prediction record on every single broadcast I brought him on, and he will be dearly missed.
Oh, what? Sorry, what was Spice to you? Sorry, what is Spice?
Spice was my pet rat who passed away this morning.
How old was he? Like, how old do rats normally live for?
They usually go 4.5, and he was about 4 years old. So,
okay.
And we knew it was coming. But still, it sucks.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that as well. Yeah. Do you like what other pets do you have? Like, is it just rats, ferrets, anything like that as well, or?
So Spice's brother was named Sugar, and we got them both. So we had Sugar and Spice, and I was supposed to be everything nice, but my girlfriend decided that I wasn't nice enough. So she became the everything nice, and I was, sort of, the dude down the road who said that all the time.
Dot.
Yeah, I was the ... at the end. Yep. But we had Sugar and Spice. It's been quite funny because different stages of my casting career, I've had different pets. So I had Binky, the kitten, who I was fostering for a few weeks. We had 2 fish, the coldest, and I forgot the name of the other one, but I named my fish the coldest, and Rachel will be able to remember what she named her fish. And then I've had a few sort of kittens because I've always grown up, fostering kittens and fostering puppies and stuff like that, and giving them a fair bit of love growing up. So pretty used to that, and pretty just sort of enjoying baby animals without dealing with the responsibility of watching them die. So
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
basically, do you have any
yeah,
pets at the moment, or so it's just sugar and
at the moment it's just sugar.
okay.
At the moment it's just sugar. And then I guess my other pet is this Counter-Strike casting thing.
Oh,
If that
well,
counts.
what is that? What is that casting pet called? What do you call your Counter-Strike casting? What's the unique name for it? Or is it just called casting?
Sleep deprivation. What else do I call it? Let me go to sleep.
One
Can I please
time,
go to bed?
one time I got drunk.
DXA. One time I got drunk. DXA, stop going overtime. Please, DXA, stop going overtime.
All right,
Really, this time, DXA, stop going overtime.
you really reminded me of the joke an ANZ made. DXA pick Mirage.
DXA pick Mirage is just a nightmare. If you ever see that, you run for the hills.
Oh, I enjoyed posting that. And I'm like, every time it comes up from Andrew, I'm just like, bold, it picks Mirage.
It was hell looking at that.
Yeah.
Just looking at that Vito's channel and seeing DXA pick Mirage became just it was horrible.
Anyways,
Horrible.
let's talk quick about that. Let's get to the CS news in particular. And obviously, there's not much news because everyone's on vacation, but there's still a bit of news to tell. So, from HLTV, from Mira, Talon are looking to return to CS with a team backed by Hazr. Now, someone actually did leak this earlier, but it was in relation to Flyquest, but obviously Flyquest picked up that team. But now, Talon are looking to pick up Hazr, and they've also set a few rumours as well that they're going to pick up Nettik, they're going to pick up Hazr, they're also going to pick up Addict, and they're going to try and pick up Hades as well. So you're going to have Hazr as the RGL, Hades as the AWPer, and then 3 of the greatest AU riflers that are in AU at the moment, obviously ignoring JKS at the time being. What do you think about this roster at the first point, with Hazr, Hazr, jeez, they rhyme, Addict, Nettik, and Hades?
Look, I feel like Nettik, Hazr, Addict, Hades, even if they pick up Khan from Namigma, I feel like that's a good 4. But in my eyes, especially from the time that we saw Hazr on Sprout, especially sort of how we've seen inconsistent Hazr can be, I just feel like he's not the right type of caller. He's not the... I hate to say it like that, but he's just not that guy. He's just not that guy. He's just... It's... I feel like you'd have a better chance picking up an IGL and an AWPer from Europe and then giving them Australian riflers to work around.
Yep.
But
do you have anyone in particular?
Off the top of my head, I'm gonna need to look at whoever free agents are at the moment. But
you can name any players. At the end of the day, if they can be bought out of their contract, they might go for it.
Because you could pick up Nexa, who got put onto the bench of G2. You could even, go out. Who else is a free agent at the moment? Sorry, I just have to look at free agents because I very much doubt that people are going to be buying people out of their contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Sly potentially, seeing that he's gone to an unorged team. Even if you really balled out and picked up JKS in that roster, dropped either Hazr or Nettik into an IGL role, Nettik is smart enough to be able to be a top caller.
Doesn't that get into the trap of being the star player and the caller, like a Nico role? Or
yeah, even if you bring in JKS as your IGL, even though he's probably not going to be suited to that position, he'll be having to adjust to a very hard learning curve. I feel like he'll be doing a lot better of a job than Hazr, purely because, as a caller, personally, I don't think was as strong as he should have been. Could get Thomas. They could get Thomas. Bo has contributions. Thomas, they could go out and they could get Thomas. They could go out and they could get Thomas.
They could also go get Mihu as well. I'm not sure where Mihu's at the moment as well. Overall, with me in particular, with this 5-man that I got, Hades definitely would be a good pickup because obviously Hades showed himself immensely on Hence before that roster got canned, which is unfortunate. Nettik, Hazr, Addict, free riflers, yeah, great. But who's going to be the support player? Like, you got three really good riflers. One of those players are going to have to adjust to being the support role. And obviously, you can probably say, oh, Hazr can be like that. But sometimes IGLs is very hard to be the support role, throwing flashes and whatnot while you're trying to call out and whatnot as well. Overall, I don't see this team like getting anywhere in particular because both Nettik, Hazr, and Addict haven't really proven themselves in tier 2, let alone tier 1. And I think that's probably the greatest weakness of this roster is that Nettik, when he went over to ECL Pro League, he just got basically shut in by FaZe and they were just bonked out the door very quickly. Same with both Addict and Hazr as well. Like, I just feel like they don't have the ability and experience at that moment to really take on those tier 2 and tier 1 teams.
Yeah, but I mean, really, why would Bad News Kangaroos drop Addict and Hazr?
Yeah. Well, they haven't dropped...
If they're not going.
Have they dropped them yet?
From what I've heard, yes, but from what other reports have told me, no.
Yeah. It's kind of like you gotta wait until it hits, basically. Because I haven't heard any. I haven't heard anything. Basically, I'm just like, yeah, like, you know. And also, the hardest one's going to be is getting Nettik off Rooster because that team sticks together quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like because Nettik is such a core part of that team's culture and that team is sort of in the server, he'll be sort of a major component that Rooster wouldn't want to let go. And, you know, personally, if Talon want to pick up a roster, just pick up the Rooster roster. Like, why are we messing around with, you know, building the ultimate Australian team? Just pick up the Rooster roster. Like, they've shown consistent results. They've been able to show they can get to international levels. They've done it on their own dime. Like, just pick them up. What are we doing?
Yeah, like, you know, I would, you know, I'm probably going to agree with you there. Like, they've done very, very well. I mean, they've got good support. Danger's a good support clutch player. Okay, like Danger supports, clutches, Vaser Vice. Okay, like you've seen him on the international stage get that 3K against was MRBR, which was, I'm not sure it was 2K. Was it 3K? It was on Vertigo, but he got an immense 3K where he had no business winning that round. You got Nettik and ASAP that work incredibly well together. The only two players on that Rooster roster that worked incredibly well together previously was Plix, who now plays Valorant, and Nettik, who were like the ultimate duo on Rooster, where basically they shut out any team against them. You got AWP, IGL, and Chelios as well. Chelios has gone from being their win condition in Rooster to he doesn't have to pop off too much anymore. And yeah, you know, and also now you've got that TJP as well. Semi-reliable entry in particular, but you could probably, like, you know, if you're going to build a team around Rooster, you could probably edge out TJP and put Addict in, and that would be the only change I would do to make that roster in particular. Even though I think BBR pointed this out during the Rebels pre-game at DreamHack Melbourne, that she criticised Chelios' RGL issues or strategies or whatnot. Maybe that could be a reason why they're not being picked up. I'm not terribly too sure. Because, of course, you know, bring Hazr in instead of just picking up Rooster. I'm not terribly too sure on that. But I do agree with your sentiment. I think, you know, if you're going to pick anyone up, you might as well just pick up Rooster because they can take it to Flyquest. I'm not sure if Flyquest are pracking those games because Dexter did hint at this previously on his Twitter that they were using officials as Pracc. So basically, you know, they weren't going full throttle, basically. They were just practicing during their officials.
Yeah.
So you're not...
And then it's like... I'm wondering, I'm considering if I go down the Dexter Pracc rabbit hole. I think I'm going to leave it. I think I'm going to leave that can of worms.
You think it's the mind games?
But all I'm saying is, if you're going to claim that you're using officials as Praccs, just fucking Pracc.
Yeah. That's
all I'm going to say. There's a reason that a lot of teams don't go and Pracc Flyquest, and they have hundreds of offers to do it in Australia.
Is it kind of like the Stico route where Stico said in an interview with HLTV, he's just like, shut up, stop complaining, get in the server?
Yeah, it's just that shut up, stop bitching, get in the server. You know, you'll be 10 times better off it, even if, you know, you're not. Even if you personally don't think it's good practice, you're still working on timings of strats. You're still working on, you know, what is achievable, even if it's against a lesser opponent. You know, it's...
Yep. I actually saw Rooster
it's a bit
do this as well,
complicated.
like where Rooster would literally wait a minute 30 and then execute with those 28 seconds left. It was against Canon
Yeah.
event, and I asked Kraus this question, I'm like, how do you deal with a team that just cuts all information, but at 28 seconds, a site's going to go down?
Yeah. Then it's a nightmare for the kid.
Yeah.
As much as I love Kraz, like, yeah, he's got a he's in a shit spot.
Yeah.
Being a newfound IGL, like his second season of comp play playing ECL.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in such a rough spot, but credit to him, he did well.
Yep. Overall with Rooster, so let's say to pick up Rooster, would you want to take anyone out of that team for Talon, like in particular? Like I said earlier, obviously, TJP for Addict, and that's it.
Look, I think if you're gonna pick up Addict for someone in that roster, what you should be doing is you should be probably taking either TJP or Danger out, because I feel like Addict is better in the role that Danger does play in that roster than Danger is at it. TJP you could eventually even drop for Hazr and make it the ultimate Aussie team. But end of the day, it's speculation. I got a lot of love for the Rooster boys. They've obviously got a chemistry that is very unlikely to be beaten.
Oh, definitely by far. I mean,
and if you start moving around too many pieces of the puzzle, or you get one wrong personality type in that team, you just ruin any chance that team has for the next 6 months. So I feel like it's very tedious if we see Talon go out, pick up Rooster, and then go, all right, we're kicking TJP, we're getting Addict in, we're building an AU super team, and it's like, well, not only have you taken TJP out of the roster, Australian icon, you've also taken out, a cultural leader and a cultural figurehead for that team. And it just wouldn't end well. It just doesn't end well whenever you do that. Like, look what happened to North Melbourne when they took out Brent Harvey in 2014. Like, it just killed the squad.
we go to the CS references. Okay, Cloud9, Furia. Do I mention Cloud9 again?
Cloud9. I mean, Tarek won the major, so
No, not that team. Not that
Cloud9.
The Gambit roster, yeah. They've been chopping and changing that entire roster. I mean, they took out Inters, then Nafany, and then Shiro walked to Spirit. I'm just like, brings up your exact point. If you mess around too much, so you start Orpers like, I'm not happy here anymore. See you guys later.
Yeah, it gets to a point where you start juggling the idea of, are we going to build a brand new team where everyone's going to get to know each other, or are we going to, decide that we're going to just pick up a roster, keep the dynamics as the same, give them resources to improve. And I think for Talon at the moment, bringing in Hazr, as much as I love him, I love his contributions to Australian Counter-Strike's history, he just isn't that guy anymore. Like, he just isn't that guy anymore.
What about the coach as well? You got DJL. Obviously, I think DJL coached Gamer Legion back in the day as well. He's been through a few different teams like Nip as well. Do you think anyone else can fit that role? I think DJL is probably the best guy you're probably going to get.
Pick up Hunden. I feel like it'd be a great fit.
Getting him out of Sashi is going to be difficult, okay? The Sashi owner's not going to let go of him, okay? I wouldn't either, to be honest. With how much Sashi's punching above its weight, like, I wouldn't either.
How much Sashi's... Okay, I'm staying away from that drama.
What I'm saying is trying to get Hunden out of Sashi after how well Sashi's performing, just on paper, to leave everything else aside. It's going to be like, trying to dig up, basically.
Maybe even Zeus.
Yeah.
Zeus.
Would Zeus be gettable, though? That's the main thing, because Zeus is probably looking for a tier 2.
He just left Liquid.
I know he left
Liquid.
I know he left Liquid, but he's probably looking for a tier 1 or tier 2 roster.
Yeah, probably. Maybe even pick up Cadian as your coach. Potentially even just pick up Cadian.
That could be good. Actually, that could be good, because, I mean...
Or, instead of picking up a... Actually, hold up. Let me cook here. You pick up Addict. You pick up Hazr. You pick up Nettik.
Yeah.
You pick up Danger. And you pick up Cadian.
That would be an interesting move.
You get Donk. You get Donk to coach. Hear me out. You get Donk to coach. No.
You're giving a 16-year-old... Oh, wait. I forget how old Donk is, but you give a 16-year-old ability to coach, okay? The amount of 16-year-old coaches I've seen in CS, that's just pure cooked. I reckon, like I say, you probably... Like, Cadian is probably the biggest reach, I would say. DGL is probably just, like, a lot more than you're going to get, okay? You're not going to get a top-tier European coach. Like, trying to get Mifar, to coach Renegades was a small miracle because no European coach is probably going to do that.
Yeah.
To coach an Australian team.
European players don't even want to play lands over here because they're scared it's going to fuck with, all the momentum that they're having in their careers. But I still feel like there are coaches sort of around that level of tier 3 who will take the chance.
Yeah.
To just see if they can make it in OCE, thinking it'll be easy, and they just get smacked in the teeth.
I'd say DJL's a pretty good fit, though, because DJL overall, he's done Gamer Legion, he's done NIP. I mean, he's even played for Gamer Legion at one stage when they had the little roster issue, and he played decently well. You got Gamer Legion at the start to begin his trajectory. Obviously, the end was finished off later. But I think he developed Gamer Legion to really be in that point where they could really develop talent in particular. Yeah. And I think he would be really, really good on talent. And as long as he can keep that pipeline going, it would be really, really good overall. And I think, if this rumor is true and Nettik does take up the opportunity, it would be really good to see how DJL can build his team. Or DJL, sorry.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think as well, you've got to have DJL get the players to buy in.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of from what I've heard about DJL, whenever players aren't buying into his systems, it's very tricky for him to maintain control.
Yeah.
And so, he needs to have players that are willing to buy in.
Yeah.
And just off sort of the brand identity of Rooster, you don't pick up anyone from Rooster if you're a guy who, as soon as you lose control, it's over. Like, you don't pick up anyone from Rooster.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's also coaches who sort of will come in and have a little bit more in terms of respect given to them, instead of what they'll be good at.
It's kind of like Cadian as well with Liquid. You saw a team that didn't buy into Cadian's system, and you saw Liquid perform a lot lower than what they did. And when you see teams that buy into systems like Na'Vi, for example, with Blade, you win a major. And you know what? I think I need to help out Duncan and Pimp and stuff like that. You can say they overachieved, okay? Because a fluke means they won it by luck. They just overachieved. They achieved a lot more than they expected. And it's not a negative connotation, okay? Good advice from me, by the way. Well, we'll get on to the next one. We've got groups coming out for ESL Pro League for Pro League 20. I know it's far away down the track, okay? Not for a while. But we got Flyquest in Group A, and we also got Rooster in Group C. But we'll take Group A first. So Group A, you got FaZe Clan versus Sangal in the first round. Then you got Flyquest v Eternal Fire. Then you got Heroic v Nip. And then you got Linvision v Na'Vi. What do you think this group is for Flyquest?
Hell.
In a cell?
Hell in a cell. They'll be lucky to come out alive.
What teams do you think they can beat? Like in there?
Sangal, Linvision. If NIP pick Overpass, they can probably beat them.
Overpass is gone for the map pool, bro. They can't pick Overpass.
They probably beat Sangal. They could probably beat Linvision. They're probably a good chance against NIP. They'll give Eternal Fire a run for their money. I don't really see them beating any of the top 3 in that group with FaZe, Na'Vi, Heroic. If they can finish top 5, I'll be happy with that.
So lower bracket final.
Happy with that.
Lower bracket final loss, basically.
They can make a lower bracket run. I'll be happy with that if I'm them. Because that is the group of death right there.
Yeah, I'd say overall, like Eternal Fire, like last time they won ESL Pro League, they could have won against Liquid, which was annoying to me when I saw them get eliminated 2-1. I'm just like, no, you guys could have won that. You guys could have got a bit further. I felt like Flyquest, their rankings overinflated, and I feel like they've overachieved in that ESL Pro League. But to be fair, like, they still got to rank 12. They've faced some very good teams like BetBoom and stuff like that and beat them. And that's credit to them basically as well. I just think their rankings overinflated. Overall, they can give Eternal Fire a good run for their money. But it's about Wicadia. If Wicadia just absolutely just flattens them, they're just dead man walking basically. It's all going to depend how that lower bracket final is going to end up. Do FaZe, do Heroic, or do Na'Vi trip up and completely ruin everything altogether? That's pretty much it, in my opinion.
Yeah. The only sort of way that Flyquest will remain competitive is if we see mistakes from FaZe, Na'Vi, or Heroic.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to see mistakes from them for Flyquest to sort of be in a chance to make top 4 in that group.
Do you think Flyquest will qualify upper bracket if teams do make a stumble and fall? Like, for example, let's say FaZe lose to Flyquest. You reckon they could make semis?
Is it top 4 in each group go through?
Yeah, it's top 4 in each group. So basically, let's say Flyquest beat Eternal Fire, then FaZe just choke. Do you reckon they can get further in? Sorry, not semis, quarters? Because you would have Na'Vi and Heroic coming from the upper bracket. You reckon they could take any of those guys on?
Na'Vi and Heroic on the other side of that bracket. If it's FaZe v Flyquest, it's wraps. The moment they make top 4 in that group, they've just got to hope that they come out with some miracle. It'll be Stephen Bradbury all over again, mate.
Okay. I tend to agree with you there. I was going to say, like, Flyquest, they've got to beat one of those teams. Like, they've got to beat the Eternal Fire. They've got to beat all 4 of those teams consistently, which is going to be NiP, Eternal Fire, Sungarden, and Vision if they're going to make it. Because if they don't, they are just going to go out as 5th or 6th or wherever it ends up. Next up, we're going to talk about is... Oh, you want to talk about the Mongolz, actually? Mongolz are in Group B with... So first of all, it goes Team Spirit versus Wildcard. Then it goes MRBR v 9Z. Then it goes Mongolz v 3D Max. And then we go Koi v G2. Now, Mongolz are currently ranked 10 at the moment. Oh, not ranked 10, sorry, ranked 6. Sorry, they're in the top 10. Do you feel that rank is overinflated for Mongolz in particular? Or do you think Mongolz are actually there in Tier 1 now?
They're on that border of Tier 1. Did we talk about Talon? No, Thursday. We didn't talk about Talon. The best news that's happened to this country in almost 6 years. We haven't spoken about.
Actually, you know what? 2 seconds. I got Mongolz's rank wrong. I got them confused with Na'Vi. They are ranked at 11. Okay. Do you think that ranking's like, do you think they're Tier 1 yet, or just on the outside of it?
I feel like they're on the cusp. In my head, if we get 1 or 2 more good performances out of them, it solidifies themselves as, a top 15 team in the world, and then they'll stay up there. But just looking at the teams in this group at the moment, for Group B, Mongolz are a top 4 team in that group. If G2 continue to do G2 shit, Mongolz are a top 3 team in that group. If G2 decide that they want to leave their PCs at home, they won't be able to beat Donk. MIBR still has Insani, who still gives me flashbacks from last DreamHack. And yeah, I feel like for the Mongolz, the best opportunity they're going to have to prove that they are a T1 team is going to be in Group B. That's where we need to see them taking out wins against teams like Koi, taking out wins against teams like 3D Max, like 9Z, like Wildcard. And even if they can sneak, a map off G2, being able to, be a little bit cheeky and forcing him to a map 3 and an overtime, in my eyes, the Mongolz have done enough there to at least solidify a top 15 spot in the world.
Yeah, also I agree with that. I think Mongolz have done enough. They've beaten a lot of quality teams. They've beaten a lot of Tier 2 teams as well. They have not been in any Tier 1 teams. I mean, they got to ECL Pro League deep last time and then immediately lost their first playoff match. I think it was only Flyquest was the only APAC team to win a playoff match in that ESL Pro League, which was against BetBoom. Mongolz, I think they had a bit of stage shitters, even in the studio, but they blasted it out of the park against Misa and Yala, where they both won. But then they got jitters again at ESL Challenger, where they went out to Falcons, a team that they realistically should have beaten. Now, in this ESL Pro League, we'll go to that in particular. The only team that I don't see them beating here is Team Spirit. Okay, I reckon they make it up in the upper bracket and then lose team spirit, and that's where they end up. I think they'll beat G2. I think they'll be their big apex, their big chip, their big tier 1 team. They'll chip out G2. The big hunt, the big catch, the trophy on the wall is Hooksy's smiling face, and they've taken down the Giga Chad. That's how I feel what's going to end up here for the Mongolz in particular.
Yep.
And anything else about Group B? Like, for the Mongolz in particular, like, any discussion, like any players you want to look out for? I know they've got all social media accounts now, so including 910. Okay, including 910. They finally got them onto Twitter.
Well, 910 finally turned old enough for Twitter, so because X is the Everything app, so he's finally old enough to have an account on the Everything app.
Oh, I did not know this.
Because I'm thinking of the Senzu and Mizuno.
Yeah,
my bad.
Oh, either way,
I was like, oh yeah.
But yeah,
910's child.
It's interesting though how Mongolz in particular, like, you expect that old roster with score and whatnot to be in this position. Not a roster that's young as their roster is, okay, with Blitz and Techno being more of the experienced heads. And they look like they're teaching a school, basically, because, Mizuno, Senzu, and 910 are all very young compared to them.
I mean, Techno's not that far off as well. I think he's also 19 or something.
Yeah.
But, I think for the Mongolz as well, they've got themselves the opportunity to cherry pick the best talent in their country, in their region, and they've taken full opportunity, and they've actually gotten the best of the best.
Yep. Now let's talk about Group C. So Group C's got Rooster in it. And this one's a very interesting group. It's got some teams that are very well established and are going to perform very well. Let's just get it out the way, first of all. You got Mouse. You got Mouse v Rooster. Yeah, that's pain. Then you got Big v Imperial. Then you got Complexity v M80. Also pain. Fnatic v Astralis. Also a bit of a throwback to the old days. How do you view this group with Rooster in particular? Like, where do you think Rooster's going to go? Because I'm just like, well, you're stuffed.
I got a feeling Rooster going to the airport. No, seriously, they've got a good chance against M80. They can beat Imperial if they have a good day. They can beat Fnatic if they have a good day. Big will be a bit of a challenge. Complexity is always going to be a challenge. Astralis,
yes,
bit of a challenge. Mouse, bit of a challenge. I think how we said Group A was Flyquest Group of Death. This is the actual Group of Death for Rooster. I've got a feeling that not a lot of people are going to be willing to stay up at 3 a.m. to watch Rooster. Get fucking shit on by Mouse.
I reckon Rooster have got a bit of a chance in this one, depending on their day. Like, if you put Flyquest in this group, you'd be like, oh yeah, Flyquest will probably go for it, because M80 are restructuring. I mean, Malbs may go to G2. That's heavily rumoured he's going to G2. And that's M80's superstar roster, because that's built around Swisher, Malbs, and Rec.
Yeah.
And we've seen as the IGL and also Slacks as the AWP. They're actually getting everything together. And then they lose a star fragger, and it's just like, it's like them losing Manx all over again.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see who sort of comes in.
And then Imperial as well. I think Rooster could beat them as well as Big. Like, Big aren't like, they're not a strong team, but they're not necessarily a weak team either. So they're like middle of the ground, and Rooster could beat them on a good day. And same with Fnatic, but at the end of the day, I feel like Rooster are just going to go out because they're going to get spanked by Mouse. They will probably lose to Imperial Big, but it'll be a bit of an arm wrestle. And whoever comes out after that, whether it be M80, Fnatic, or whatever it is, I think they'll put them to bed.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Even if Rooster can take a map, I'd be happy with that. I'd be counting that as a massive win. If they can take a series, that's a massive win. If they can force every single game they play to 3 maps, that's an easy win right there. There's not much you can do about that. But yeah, Group C is pretty much wraps.
Yeah. We're now going to go to Group D, because Group D, okay, well, this team I like in particular, okay, so it's Vitality taking on Atox. And Atox is a team that it's a red-headed stepchild of Mongolia, because no one talks about them, because everyone's loving the Mongolz. But Atox is an interesting little team as well. They did challenge very hard in the RMRs previously against Greyhound. Now, also we got Furia and Falcons, we got Team Liquid and Ents, and then we got Red Candits and VP. How do you think this group's going to go with Atox, to be honest? And I think it's going to be a pretty rough ride given the upgrade Furia got.
I got a feeling Atox and Rooster might want to check if they're on the same flight or not. Because they're both going to go home pretty early.
I'd say with Atox, like I'll give more hope for Atox, compared to Rooster. Given the fact that Atox have really gone pound for pound, not only against Greyhound, but against Tyloo as well. Obviously, like you can say that Tyloo are shit, and I agree. But they have taken Mongolz to distance as well. Like, they've taken some pretty good teams at distance. I mean, Nisa was a bit of a disappointment, okay? But Atox took a lot of teams to distance. Like, they are willing to do that. And even, I forget, did they win ECL? But it doesn't matter. They got into ECL Pro League that way. But they took a lot of teams to distance. In fact, let me see with ESL Challenger, they knocked out, because obviously Tyloo didn't go because they got knocked out. And I think, no, Atox lost to Lin Vision, but Atox knocked Lin Vision to the lower bracket.
Yeah.
So, like, those are things you've got to consider. Like, Atox is a very, very underrated team. Like, a very, very underrated team. And I feel like that will be the team to watch out for in particular, I'm going to say. Like, they could really upset here. I mean, they could take down an Ents. They could take down a limping Team Liquid. They could take out a Falcons if they're not careful, or Furia. Like, I'd say, if anything, Atox is the real wildcard factor in the APAC region for this one, because at the best they're really high, but at the worst also down here as well. And it's actually a lot of reliance on both Dobu and Cabal as well, because they've had some critical timing plays and critical lurks, and also the young kids as well with Zester and whatnot as well. I actually really, really rate Zester as a player. Now, overall, I expect Vitality to completely beat them. I mean, Apex and Zywoo aren't going to take any chances. They've had shitty tournaments and not been too happy. You're going to feel pure anger and hatred pumping Atox 2 or 2-0, okay? Like, pure anger and hatred. Yeah. You know those teams where they lose a game and they're not happy, and then next match you're like, oh, fuck, I hope it's not that guy. You know, they're just fucked. That's what's going to happen there. And then you got
headhunting.
Yeah, and you got Virtus Pro. And those are probably the two teams that I don't see Atox winning against. It's just Virtus Pro and Team Vitality. But all the other teams, I'm like, they've got a chance. I reckon they could make it out either mid-bracket at best, or low bracket at worst. Or, you know, going home, of course.
To be completely honest with you, I've got a feeling that they're probably going to get overpowered really quickly. I feel like Atox have a style of Counter-Strike that has a lot more of a stronger reliance on their lurking roles instead of, you know, their pack players being able to find trades.
Yeah.
And for Atox, you know, we need to see an improvement in their game from ECL. They were very shaky in the grand final of ECL. They looked really uncomfortable in certain, you know, matches in ECL.
And they also had a map advantage as well on that BO5 and they lost.
And that's, you know, that's against teams in Asia. They're against teams that we don't sort of view highly in the world of Counter-Strike. We usually view the European teams, the Russian teams, those teams sort of as highly as we possibly can. And these guys, you know, they're not playing in the ECL anymore. They're playing against, you know, the best of the best in the world. They're playing against 3 top 10 teams in their group. They've got, I think the rest of them are stuck inside the top 15 except for the Red Candidates.
I think
the rest of them are inside the top 15.
I'm trying to think, you know, it's Falcons in the top 10. I'll give you a bit of update on that.
Falcons is 15.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm not sure how many teams in the top 10. There's Virtus Pro, that's one of them. Obviously, Vitality. I think there's only 2 teams in the top 10 for them. Yeah, there's only 2 teams. I was just checking this earlier. I'm like, no, there's only 2 teams. Like, I'd say the only team.
Sorry, I'm going by rankings of teams at the event.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But, you know, point still stands. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Atox aren't playing against teams at ECL anymore. They're playing against the best of the best, and we haven't seen any improvement in ECL. And, you know, they got to step it up. They got to do something. Yeah, they got to go put head over the footy.
Oh, basically, I'm going to say, this is going to be the tournament when they do that. Okay, I reckon this is my big hot take. This is the tournament where Atox is going to do that, and they'll qualify mid-bracket. Okay.
I'm going to leave you. I'm going to leave you hopeful and guessing.
I'm very bullish on Atox. I'm going to say I think everyone in my chat knows that, like, I overrate Atox a lot, and I think they're gravely underrated. But people are like, no, they're probably where they are. You know. let's go to the next one, okay? We go to ESL Challenger League for season 48, okay? The new teams in the block. We've had the playoffs, great, Flyquest 1. Then we had the relegations where Mantra, Art of War promoted from Open, and KZG and DXA kept their spots, obviously, after some pretty close BO3s in particular. So looking at the ECL going ahead, so the teams we've got is Flyquest, Rooster, Mindfreak, Bad News Kangaroos, Vantage, Arcade, and the 4 teams I said before, Mantra, Art of War, KZG, DXA. What team surprised you the most last season? And why is it Mindfreak, okay? Because MJ is going to remind me of this if I don't mention that, okay?
Mindfreak didn't surprise me at all. We knew Pain, we knew Smiley were going to be good. We know Gump is good. We know Tux is a mastermind. Super is a goat. We knew this team was going to be good. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's not give Michael too much credit. We don't really do that now. He's already got enough of an inflated ego as is. I think a team that did a lot better than I think people were expecting was, I guess, KZG. Like, they qualified for ECL. People were like, maybe they've got a shot. Maybe, you know, they're going to be good. And then, you know, still being able to come top 5, top 6, fighting for relegation with DXA. You know, I think they did a lot better than I think people were going to give them credit for. And I think, you know, especially compared to teams like Cannon Event, who are in a very, very similar position, they showed a lot more promise than I think Cannon Event did. And that's not anything to discredit Cannon Event. Kraz knows that I love him and his 3 a.m. posts on Twitter. Please let me go to sleep, Cannon Event, for the love of God. But I feel like KZG were showing a lot more promise than Cannon Event were. And they were showing a lot more improvement and a lot quicker improvement than Cannon Event were.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think Hassie did a lot better on the big green than anyone would have expected. Because I was sitting there going like, bro, at DreamHack Challenger Melbourne, nervous, not good, and not taking the shots he did. And then in relegation, he was keeping a few players at bay that I'm a bit surprised that he was. And also not to mention as well, KCG managed to not get directly relegated after losing their win condition, their main win condition in Pain, and they did not get relegated, which is really, really good. The team that surprised me most in particular was Vantage, and Vantage made playoffs in particular. And I gotta say, in particular, Vantage with Drox, because Drox became like a big, big win condition in that team overall, because everyone was expecting Night Raid to carry that team. But I'm like, oh, you know, maybe Drox can do it now as well. I'm a bit surprised that also obviously Vantage rejigged their roster after that. They picked up Nor and Jinx. And also switching the IGL to Night Raid, which I was actually thinking Jinx was going to IGL. And what do you think about that one in particular for Vantage, that Night Raid going to IGL?
I mean, long time coming. No offense to Night Raid. I feel like it's a role that he's probably smart enough and experienced enough in OCE to be good as. You know, I'm personally quite invested to see how, you know, this Vantage roster is going to do without Omichella. I think that'll be quite interesting to see in the future. They pick up Jinx, they pick up Nor, smart guy. Jinx, we saw he was sharp.
Yeah.
Is he as sharp as DXA's pickup in Zuko? I don't know. No, but Jinx was showing some stuff on Archon that I was quite impressed with, especially for a Fortnite boy.
He was building up them kills, mate. You saw the Taj Mahal just appear out of nowhere, and it's like, what? There's no materials in this game.
He's reminding me of a Young Day Ninja, if you know what I mean. But no, I think that there's a pretty good mix over on that Vantage sort of roster that they should be able to take advantage of in this next ECL season. That's if they can get the pieces to get together in time and work. We should actually talk about DXA as well. What was, Zuko being picked up? Obviously, I think Motion, there's a lot of subbing in there as well with Craymon, Zuko, and stuff like that as well. What do you think about that new lineup? With basically, I think it's Kier, Lucas, Rofako, Zuko and Rocky. Like, what do you think about that lineup for DXA? I completely mucked up their lineup just there. I think, I think Cray has his work cut out for him, having to wrangle 3 of the biggest personalities in Australia and Ruffleco. I think he's definitely got his work cut out for him. Seriously though, they've picked up a heap of sharpies. It's Cray's job to just make sure that they can think and they can use what's in between their ears. And that'll be sort of the big task that they have ahead of them. You know, we saw Rocky; he was sharp as shit in ECL. Zuko, sharp as hell back when he was playing on meat grinders back in the day. Lucas, you know, representing Tuvalu. My guy, Ruffleco, you know, he's a legend in the server. He's running for charity now. I didn't know his legs could move that quickly. And then Keo, you know, you get a few Pepsi Maxes into the kid and he's an absolute weapon.
I can say for DXA in particular, like DXA, similar to KZG, actually worked very, very well, given the fact they lost the best. Okay, that was like probably the worst part for DXA is when they lost the best.
Yeah. And I think as well, it's a smart decision for DXA to drop Motion. And this is, you know, I love Motion. I love Jeremy. I love DXA. I love Monitor. But Motion was in a really, really bad slump, especially towards that back end of the ECL season. Definitely. And I think it's a good idea to just say, all right, Jeremy, look, we love you, but fucking kick rocks.
It's one of the ones where you got to have to explore for other options. I mean, Motion's generally an IGL. They just put it to Keo, and then that's pretty much it. Motion was a sub in the relegations and whatnot. They were just basically explaining why he was told to move on. Now, in particular, is there any other teams that need to pick up players, and what players do you see them picking up? We know that Mantra is looking for one more, according to Cheeseball. Obviously, Michela's on the market as well. And what
he quit? Yeah.
What other players in particular that we could see moving around or being picked up by any team in particular?
Well, it's a Mantra roster.
Yep.
So I can tell you from our experience with them is that they'll look for the perfect guy, not be able to find it, deal with whoever pops up, and then be pissed off at whoever popped up because they couldn't find the perfect guy. That's how every Mantra roster has ever worked.
So that's why there's 20 Mantras at this stage, okay? Like Mantra 1, Mantra 2, Mantra 3, maybe Mantra 4.
Yep. Mantra 1 to 3 were the most consistent Mantra rosters, but we made like 6 changes in between all 3 teams.
They could see Fiend back in the roster. I heard they need an AWPer. Nah, I'm not going to put Lachlan back in the roster. I'm not going to make that. He's probably going to hate me for mentioning him.
Put Fiend in. Put him in. Put the kid in. Get the kid. My former casting duo, get Fiend in. Potentially...
Well, DPR. DPR's still a free agent.
Is he? He is.
Yeah, he is.
He is. DPR is still a free agent. He could potentially be picked up. And then, I don't know, like...
Yeah.
B&K have made a few moves.
I think B&K have their roster. If B&K lose Addict and Hazr, who do they really go to the market for? Because they're going to have to pillage other teams as well. So obviously they'll have Wombat, Daniel, and Brace.
I got my bets on them picking up Omichella.
Yeah, could be.
I think it was announced that Omichella had gone to... I
haven't seen any announcements yet. But with Rooster in particular, like, if Nettik goes from Rooster, who do Rooster pick up?
They'll find someone. They've always got someone to... they've always got someone who is sitting there at the back. Just waiting to step in. But yeah. Blitz is still +2. Forgot about Blitz. They could probably be pillaged. Harbour could go to somewhere.
Yeah, it could go to a Rooster as well. Could ever go anywhere. Brace basically as well. They just need a good rifler. I'd say overall for Rooster in particular, they've had some really good stand-ins. Like, you could even go back to the old Downfall days where they had, merged with a couple of teams. They had Spudrick, they had JCG who played really well, but I think JCG's long gone. They also had Deckney, but I think Deckney's also long gone as well. There's a lot of those players that can just pick up the rifle and, really train them up in particular. But overall, like I say, this has actually been a really, really, other than the Talon news coming out, this has really been a stable roster mania for the AU scene, because normally you see like just rosters go everywhere, but there's really only been like 3 changes at best.
I'm shocked that we have, 70% of our team sort of staying together. I'm just shocked at this. Absolutely distraught. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to think anymore. I might just have to go cry.
It's been really just stable. It's just been very stable. Like, nothing out of Arcade, nothing out of KZG. DX, they did a small change which they had to do. So did Vantage. B&K could stay the same, depending on what happens to Talon. And it could be like just very stable. And I'm just shocked by this because obviously I was like going, oh, maybe Mind Freak will pick up a few more pieces in particular. Because of course they made a pretty deep run. They've got Pain there. And then they didn't make anything in particular. So I'm just like, okay, they must be happy with their roster. And it was really only Vantage doing anything. And I was a bit surprised as well that Arcade, but then again, Arcade already picked up Triplus from the Archon roster. And I think that's all they really needed. And then build up what they've got. And then Art of War, you're never going to split those guys up. And particularly, you got Fruity and Banana, Neo, Sunshine, Super Best. They always play with each other. And they plug each other quite a bit. The only replacement I can see in there is just adding Terry. Because I love seeing Terry and Banana together. The dynamic duo. But that's not going to happen. But overall, like you don't see much reason to mix up or replace any of these teams in particular. Because with Vantage, I felt Omachella for North Omachella is a bit of a side grade. And also putting Night Raid to that IGO roster, I think that's actually a good move because that's showing a shift from Night Raid being the key win condition to Drox. And I think that's a good idea, given that even though they got absolutely beat by Mind Freak, Drox was really the only one that was performing in both assists and kills on that Dust 2, and Mind Freak stomped them. And I think that's probably a good shift.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for Vantage as well.
Yeah.
Being able to give Mind Trick something new and giving him time to be able to work with that Vantage roster is going to be good.
Mm.
But yeah, like...
I think that's pretty much it. There's not much. There's not much.
There's fuck all in terms of news. Like, there's really very little.
Yeah. I'd say that's pretty much it. Any thoughts about, news we talked about, Talon, ESL Pro League, or even ESL Challenger for Australia in particular? Like, any thoughts, any opinions, any hot takes?
Any hot takes? Fuck Toby Brace Barnes, the poacher. No, I'm kidding. I love you, Barnes. I love you. I love you.
Jeez,
I love you, Brace. I love you.
Adopting the Foggers routine, okay?
Yeah, I just interviewed Foggers, so I'm using all of his like shticks.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that
soon you'll be
Rostermania hasn't started yet.
Okay.
I got a feeling Rostermania hasn't quite started yet. And I can't wait for ESIC to find me. No.
But it's not the ESIC part. I was going to say, with Rostermania in Australia in particular, it's just everyone's just waiting for that rock to tumble first. Like, if the Talon news is true, and it'll just basically be a feeding frenzy, basically. That's how I feel.
Yeah. This will probably be the best opportunity we'll get. If that Talon roster is true, it'll be the best opportunity you get to see players make that jump up to tier 1 in OCE.
Actually, do you think they'll get it?
I think it's going to be exciting.
Okay, it's actually... Sorry, this popped in my head. How does Talon get an ECL spot in Australia? Like, will they try to make a move for that? Or try to get direct invite to ESL Challenger AU? Because they have free players for it. But they may not have the core because they need free players from a previous roster. So they got Hazr... They got Hazr, obviously Addict. Could they make a play for the Bad News Kangaroo spot?
They got to play open.
Yeah, is that what you reckon?
There's no way because the slots are tied to the orgs, not the actual teams.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to go through open.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to be seeing Addict, Hazr, Nettik playing open. So if you're playing open.
Or they could even sit out. They could even sit out the season and just take the invite at the end of relegation.
That's if they get the invite.
Yeah,
and that's depending on where the org is going to be based.
Yeah,
because if the org is going to be based in Europe or if it's going to be based in wherever.
Yep.
If it's going to be based in Hong Kong, if it's going to be based in China, if it's going to be based in
wherever
Mongolia, if it's going to be based in Europe, if it's going to be based in Russia, like that is they lose the Oceania spot.
Yeah.
Even though they've got 3 players on that Oceania, even though they've got 3 players on the team that are from Oceania, 4 players technically, they're still losing that spot.
Yeah.
Because the org isn't based there.
Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. And thanks, Flam, for joining me as well. So basically, we just did a bit. If you guys don't know, this little podcast in particular is just interviewing the person, first of all, what Flam does and stuff like that as well. So the first half video will be about that. The second half will just be to talk about the news and getting everyone's opinion on it. Thank you guys for coming in. And I really, really appreciate you guys giving me some suggestions and stuff like that as well. I did have the suggestion as well, because obviously ASAP and a lot of people mentioned it, to have like a thing at the bottom to discuss what we're talking about. All I'm going to say is I probably will need a producer if I'm going to do that, so they can change it. Otherwise you're going to see me like looking down to make sure I'm typing the right thing into my thing in particular. But that's definitely an improvement in particular. There's a lot of things that I definitely want to improve on as well. But really appreciate you guys watching the first episode. I'm still reaching out to a lot of different people as well. If you guys want to come on, feel free to jump into my Discord or Twitter DMs, and I can definitely make a time or make a slot that we can just go live and just talk shit and stuff like that as well. Also as well, this will be on YouTube, if you guys are wondering as well. I'll upload this to YouTube. I'm not sure if I get any shorts out in particular, but really got that as well. And this is going to go on shorts of Flam making that face in particular, so I'm just going to meme him. But yeah, really, really enjoyed it, and hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks, Flam, for being on, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.